Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm doing a review on these 10-ounce lace-up new sporting boxing gloves. So stay tuned. Alright guys, so today I'm doing a close-up, weigh-in, and review on these 10-ounce lace-up new sporting boxing gloves. These are handmade in Mexico, a full genuine leather construction. I got it in this custom colorway from Edgar, the Boxing Collector. And to be honest with you, I had not done business with New Sporting for a couple of years now because the quality and as well as their customer service, in my opinion, have fallen off. I did a review on 2 pairs of the gloves years ago that I was really impressed with. And then from there, the quality just went downhill, at least from what I saw. But Edgar convinced me to give them another shot. And as long as I was going through him, I felt comfortable doing it because I've done business with Edgar before. And he's always been a really solid guy. And I've always been impressed with him. So, I said, let's go ahead and do it. And I got these and they're actually really nice. Now, looking at it close up, I'd say the only area that I saw really some flaws was probably some of the stitching in certain spots. But the leather looks really nice. New Sporting has a new logo, no pun intended. It says New Sporting, made in Mexico. You have a triple cuff for the wrist support. It says New Sporting on there as well with a cloth patch. 10 for the weight. The back of the wrist, you have about 1 inch of firm density padding and about 1 inch, maybe 1.25 inches on the inside of the wrist, which I love. The inside uses a satin nylon liner with a combination of almost like this mesh. I wouldn't even say canvas. It just has kind of like this, feels like jeans, if that makes any sense. Like a jean type material on the inside right there. Nice long white flat laces. Double stitching, you can see this light blue color, looks really clean. Welted seams like you find in the vast majority of Mexican made gloves. Ventilated holes on the thumb. Blue piping. And the blue almost has, kind of like a pearl look to it. I don't know if it's necessarily metallic, but it has kind of a pearl look to it, which is really cool. And then you have the triple thumb with the light blue, the red, and the white, and the attached thumb right there. And same thing on the other side, pretty much identical. And there's the stitching. I would say that's kind of the sloppy area if I were to nitpick. The actual foam on the inside, I believe, is a latex foam that has a soft to almost medium density feel to it, but definitely a really nice glove if you want that nice bang and pop. Excellent feedback with these gloves and the red piping at the bottom. So beautiful gloves. Really happy with these overall, and they turned out really nicely. So let's go ahead and put these on the scale and see how much these weigh. And here's that other glove just to show you guys kind of the density. And I'm not pushing very hard, and you can just tell just kind of the firmness of it over the knuckle area. All right, so let's go ahead and do the right glove. Let me throw laces on top. And they're 12.6 ounces, so they're overweight by 2.5 ounces. And to be honest with you, I'm not surprised. I mean, it's just, I've gotten so accustomed to Mexican-made gloves being overweight that it's almost like it's normal when it is overweight. And if it is on weight, then I'm like surprised. I'm like, oh wow, these are like actually the weight that they say they are. So again, 12.5 ounces, 12.6. So the good news is that both gloves are identical in weight to each other, which is great. They just happen to be 2.5 ounces overweight because they're supposed to be 10 ounces, unless they mislabeled them and put the wrong tag, which could be a possibility as well, but that's, again, a quality control problem. So these should be advertised as a 12-ounce glove rather than a 10-ounce glove. So let's go ahead and do the review. Hey, what's up guys? Carlo here, and today I'm doing a review on these 10-ounce lace-up New Sporting boxing gloves. These are handmade in Mexico using 100% genuine leather. And you can see I got mine in this custom colorway in this dark blue, kind of like this light aqua blue, red, and white. And the best way to describe this light blue color, it actually reminds me of that toothpaste brand Aquafresh, if that rings a bell, but it kind of reminds me of that. It has kind of like a very fresh look to it. That's really what it reminds me of, but I don't think I have a pair or ever owned a pair boxing gloves with this particular color, and that's the reason why I picked them, because they look really cool and unique. Now, I actually got these gloves from Edgar, the boxing collector. If you're not familiar with him, do yourself a favor and you make sure you check out his website, boxingcollector.com. Edgar is actually based out of Mexico, and he specializes in selling Mexican-made boxing gear. A lot more of like the boutique brands like New Sporting and Boxeo, and other brands that are relatively smaller and kind of hard to find. They're not big names like Cleto Reyes or Grant. He sells like Lopez, a lot of the other kind of niche brands. And Edgar's been amazing to work with. He communicates well, always gives you updates. His shipping is fast. I think the gloves I've gotten from him have come within like 3 to 5 business days from Mexico here to Arizona, so relatively fast. All things considered, especially for international shipping from one country to the other, especially with all the supply chain issues that's going on in the world right now. So, customer service has been great, communication has been great. I communicate with him through Instagram, but he also has an email on his website, so you can check out all his stuff there. But again, it's been a great experience working with Edgar. So that kind of ties back around to New Sporting. Now, if you've been a subscriber to my channel, then you probably know a little bit of the history of New Sporting. It goes back several years. I actually had 2 pairs of New Sporting gloves that I was really happy with. And when I first got my New Sporting gloves, they were relatively unknown. I think I may have been the first person to do a review on them. But I reviewed them and I really compared them to Grant boxing gloves, but for much cheaper, but the same kind of quality and performance that you would get from a pair of Grant gloves. And maybe at some point in time, that I think they even had maybe a manufactured for Grant. And I know they do manufacture for other brands out there. I'm not going to say any particular names, but I still know that they do manufacture for other brands out there currently. So I was really happy with that. And then what ended up happening is I got another pair, and I noticed that the quality had gone downhill, and then the customer service kind of went downhill as well. They didn't like the review I did on those gloves and didn't take it constructively. They just took it as something negative and just fired back. So I was like, you know what? I'm done with it. I'm not going to deal with this company anymore. And from there on, I just never did business with New Sporting again. Now, the reason I ended up going with New Sporting this time is because I talked to Edgar about it, and I saw the gloves on his website. He actually has like full sparring sets. He has the gloves that matches the headgear as well as the groin guard. And he told me, the quality is really good on these. I work directly with them. Let me allow you to try these gloves, and you communicate just with me. So I felt more comfortable dealing with Edgar in the fact that I know that his customer service has been great. He communicates well, and I was like, you know what? Let's go ahead and give me these gloves. And I'm happy I did. So the gloves are really nice overall. Design-wise, you can see here. Just like the previous New Sporting, they have a little bit more of a compact feel. It's a traditional Mexican style glove. It does use a 3-layer of foam padding in here, latex, neoprene, and I think polyurethane, I believe, a combination of those 3, but it does have more of a softer to medium density feel. You can see the leather on here has kind of more of a satin finish to it. New Sporting updated their logo, so it doesn't look like the old New Sporting logo from before. You also have the cloth patch on the back that has the triple cuff with about an inch thick of padding on the back of the wrist. It says 10 ounces, but if you guys saw earlier, I weighed it on the scale, and these were actually about 12 and a half. So again, with Mexican gloves, Mexican-made gloves, they're typically several ounces overweight, and these are no exception to that. You do have the triple thumb with the blue, red, and white, and attached thumb right there. The aqua fresh color on the palm side right there, that looks really clean. I love that. The red piping looks really good, and just the dark blue, the light blue, and the red actually just works really well together in my opinion. You have the ventilated holes on the thumb. The grip bar, I'd say, is about medium in size, but it's nice and dense, so you can definitely feel it. It's pronounced. Nice long white flat laces. You have about 1.25 inches of padding right here that goes right in here, and it tapers into that seam, and on this side as well. Pretty much the same that you see with a lot of these other type of Mexican gloves that are made the same way. Welted seams for that durability. You see that with a lot of Mexican gloves as well. The inside liner is a combination of kind of like a satin liner, and then it almost has kind of like a mesh type material on the sides as well. that helps with wicking away moisture. Now, quality-wise, these gloves are really good overall. The leather on here really pops. I've been using these for a couple weeks. You know, you can see that the striking surface, you can see that there's been a little bit of dirt on here for me using them, but the leather is held up nicely. I'd say the only area that I would have to critique it would be like where the thumb meets the index finger, the stitching on both gloves. You can see the stitching is kind of a little messy there, and maybe some of the cuts of the welts right here. But outside of that, I mean, the gloves look really, really nice. So compared to the previous new sporting gloves I had, you can see that they've cleaned up their act in terms of just the stitching and the overall proportions and the symmetry of the glove. Another thing you'll notice also is that the logo is starting to peel right there on the back of the glove. So you get some peeling, but I've had that down. I've had the same thing with the Reyes as well. And the weight, you know, being 2.5 ounces overweight is a big deal. So to me, that tag should say 12, because realistically it's really a 12-ounce glove and not a 10-ounce glove. So either that or they put the wrong tag on here and it should have been 12 and they screwed up. So, but the piping looks good. No exposed foam on the inside, which is really good. And putting my hand in here, you know, no bunched up liner. The liner feels comfortable against my hand, and then there's a piece of felt that covers the stitching on the fingertip compartment, which again, Grant has that same type of material, so that's why I always say that I wouldn't be surprised that they manufacture for Grant. I'm not sure if they still do, but at some point in time they did. But that feels good there. This stitching looks really good throughout the entire glove. You can see everything symmetrical and straight. Overall looks clean right there. Going down on the sides, the piping is nice and thick. Feels good right there. The thumb has a good amount of padding on the back of the thumb. You know, the foam is held up nicely. And the glove is balanced. You can see there, the weight distribution is on point. It's not a top-heavy glove, so it doesn't have that sag. And a lot of that has to do with the wrist support. You have that nice structure and that rigidity right here through the middle of the glove. So it's not just all padding on the front of the glove. You have more right here. Give it a little bit more of a balanced feel. Comfort of the glove, sliding your hands in here. I've always been a fan of the comfort of this style of a new sporting glove, just because they're just almost exactly like Grant's. I love that felt tip right there. The finger compartment is a perfect width, not too narrow and not too wide. That felt is a game changer because it just gives you that sense of kind of like a soft cotton feel. So it's really nice and comfortable for your hand. And you know, if you box a lot of rounds every day as part of your training, comfort is optimal. And the reason I say that is because you can go longer and you just feel more comfortable when you're working, and that makes you want to train even more and more. If you got a pair of gloves that are uncomfortable, or there's pinch points, or just something doesn't feel right, then you'll probably end up taking them off and putting a different pair of gloves on, or just stop your training session altogether. But these feel really good. I mean, you can see that they have a really nice soft broken in feel. You can open your hand and close your hand with relative ease. That means you can parry shots real nicely. Nice parallel thumb, they do a great job with that, and it's not too short. So even when I do make a fist, you can see it kind of pulls the tip down a little bit, but not enough to where it feels like your finger is going to jam. And this piping is loose enough to where I didn't feel like it was pinching against the fat part of my thumb right here. And for me personally, that's where I get a lot of discomfort on gloves, and I wish that, you know, all manufacturers would consider this seam right here, so that it doesn't just sit there and just cramp down on your finger. And when you take the glove, you'll see this big red mark. I actually had that issue with the Everlast Elite Pro Fight gloves that are made in Mexico. But the wrist support feels really good. No liner bunching up, and just an overall a super comfortable glove. I love the way these feel. Protection and performance. Now these are, I'd say, a little bit more on the puncher's side, but they're a balanced glove, using that latex, polyurethane, and neoprene in there. If you're looking for a glove for mitt work, these would be the ones. You would love these gloves because you get excellent crack out of them, excellent feedback. They make really good bag gloves too. You keep in mind, you will feel the shock. So if you do have a hand injury, wrist injury, sore knuckles, and you're insistent on getting these gloves, by all means, do whatever you want to do, but I would recommend giving yourself some knuckle guards to give you just a little bit of extra shock absorption over your knuckle area, because again, these are on the softer side. But if you don't, and you love gloves that just give you that nice Mexican glove where you can feel your knuckles pierce through the padding and you get that beautiful crack, then these are definitely the gloves for you. I mean, you can get a really good feel. I mean, and this is the nozzle bag, so this bag is definitely more on the dense side. Even though I've broken it in, it still has some density to it. And yeah, these feel great as far as just pop and feedback, but not the most protective glove. If you need something more of a bag glove that's more shock absorbent, then I'd probably look elsewhere. But if you want a puncher's glove that is a little bit on the protective side but gives you good pop, these are the way to go. Now, cost-wise, Edgar, I believe, starts at about $189 for these gloves. Do keep in mind that these gloves are made in small batches. They're not a mass-produced glove. So when you order these, you're gonna get these, you know, you might not get the same color every time. If you go to the website, there may be a different colorway just depending on what New Sporting decides to make and what, you know, Edgar decides to purchase from them. So you might not even get the same color. Like when I went back on the website today to see if this particular colorway was on there, they weren't. And I'm sure you could request it and they can make the same exact glove like I have here for you. But he might not just have it readily available. So that's kind of cool in the fact that you may have a glove that somebody else doesn't have colorway wise. But again, you know, depending on the colorway, the size, it's pretty much a small batch type thing, a boutique. So they may not have 16, 14, 12 ounces. They may have that size. Just make sure you check out his website. But they start at about $189. I believe the Velcro versions also are a little bit more expensive by like $20 or $30. Because I think they just have to use more material for the Velcro, but they do offer Velcro versions as well. But for 189 bucks, man, that's a really good price. I mean, this right up there around like Reyes and some of the other gloves. I mean, it's a sub $200 glove. I think you would be really happy with this particular New Sporting glove. I would just make sure you guys go through Edgar, Boxing Collector, to get these gloves because he has great customer service and he's definitely there to back up the products that he sells. So definitely recommend these gloves. So if you have any questions or comments, make sure you guys leave them down below in the comments box. I'll put the link in the description box where you can find these New Sporting boxing gloves from Edgar, the Boxing Collector. I'll see you guys later. Take care.